He saw the alien woman unclothed and realized she was no ordinary electrician. The research outpost named Helios Station floated near a quiet blue star, far from busy trade routes. It was a place where many species worked together, not because they wanted to, but because the galaxy needed the research done there. Energy experiments, long-term power systems. Things most people never thought about unless they failed, and they failed often. Evan Hale knew this better than anyone. He was human, born on a low-gravity colony, trained as a systems engineer. His job was simple on paper: keep the station's power running. In reality, it meant long hours, emergency calls in the middle of sleep cycles, and fixing alien technology no human manual had ever explained properly. That day started like most others. A soft alarm chimed in Evan's quarters, followed by a calm station voice. Power fluctuation detected in Sector 9. Engineering assistance requested. Evan sighed, pulled on his work jacket, and grabbed his toolkit. Sector 9 again. It always started there. As he walked through the wide silver corridors, lights flickered overhead. Some glowed too bright, others dimmed like tired eyes. The station felt uneasy, like something was breathing under its metal skin. At the junction near Sector 9, Evan saw her. She stood near an open wall panel, tall and slender, her skin a pale silver blue. Thin lines of light ran faintly along her arms, barely visible under the station lighting. She wore a heavy insulated work suit like most technicians, but hers was modified, fitted with strange connectors and ports. Her name was Salith. She was listed as an electrician, but everyone knew that word did not fully describe her. "Morning," Evan said, slowing his pace. "Power spike again." Salith turned her head slightly. Her eyes were dark and reflective like polished stone. "Yes," she replied. Her voice was calm, almost musical, but distant. "The surge is spreading faster than expected." Evan knelt beside the panel and scanned the readings. That's what it said yesterday, and the day before. She watched him work, silent, as if listening to something he could not hear. Evan had worked with many species before, but Salith's kind was rare. Her people were known for their connection to energy systems, not just using them, understanding them in a way that made humans uncomfortable. Most of the station crew avoided her. Not because she was dangerous, but because she made them feel replaceable. Suddenly, the lights went out, complete darkness. Then red emergency strips glowed along the floor. The station shuddered. Somewhere far away, metal groaned. "Backup failed," Evan said quickly. "That's new," Salith straightened. "The surge has reached the inner conduit," she said. "If it destabilizes, the sector will shut down completely." "Which means?" Evan asked, already standing. "Manual intervention," she answered. They moved fast. Salith led Evan through a maintenance hatch normally locked to human staff. Emergency clearance had opened it, but barely. The air grew warmer as they moved deeper. The hum of energy grew louder, like a low storm trapped in metal walls. They reached a circular chamber. At its center stood the auxiliary power node, a tall structure wrapped in cables and glowing vents. Warning lights flashed wildly. "I'll reroute the load," Evan said. "You stabilize the flow." Salith paused. "I will need to remove my suit." Evan blinked. "What?" "The insulation interferes," she said, already reaching for the seals. "My body must make direct contact." Evan hesitated. Is this safe?" "For the station," she replied. Before Evan could say more, another violent shake hit the chamber. A panel exploded somewhere above them. Sparks rained down. "Do it," Evan said. "I'll cover the node." Salith stepped behind a curved energy shield and disengaged her suit. Evan turned away out of habit, focusing on his console, his hands moving fast. Then a sudden surge knocked him off balance. He stumbled backward, catching himself on a railing. His console slid across the floor, sparks flying. Instinctively, Evan turned and saw her. Salith stood near the power node, unclothed, but there was nothing human about the sight. Her skin glowed softly now, no longer pale but alive with light. The faint lines Evan had seen before now shone bright, forming complex patterns across her body. They pulsed in time with the station's failing power like living circuits. Energy flowed through her. Not around her, not into her, through her. Evan froze, not out of shock but understanding. She was not just an electrician, she was part of the system. Salith placed her hands on the node. The wild light steadied, the shaking slowed. The hum became smoother, deeper, controlled. Evan felt it through his boots. The station was calming. Then alarms screamed again. "Containment breach," the station voice announced. "Sector 9 core destabilizing." Salith cried out, not in pain but strain. The light along her skin flared brighter. "Evan," she said, her voice tight, "the anomaly is feeding back. I cannot hold it alone." Evan scrambled for his console, fingers flying across controls. "I'm routing excess load to the human-built circuits. They're crude, but they can take stress." "You will overload them," she warned. "They're human," Evan replied. "They're made for abuse." He slammed the final command. For a moment nothing happened. Then the lights stabilized. The node dimmed to a safe glow. The alarms fell silent one by one. Salith staggered. Evan rushed forward, grabbing a thermal blanket and wrapping it around her shoulders without thinking. Her skin dimmed, the glowing lines fading back to faint traces. She looked at him, surprised. "You did not turn away," she said quietly. Evan shook his head. "You were saving the station. That's all I saw." Emergency teams burst into the chamber seconds later. Alien supervisors, human engineers, security units. They stopped when they saw Salith, now covered, leaning against Evan. Questions filled the air. Evan barely heard them. He was thinking about one thing. If one electrician could become part of a station, what was Helios Station really built on? And why did it feel like the galaxy had been hiding the truth from humanity? As the lights returned and the outpost breathed again, Evan knew this was only the beginning. Even after the lights stayed steady and the alarms stopped, the station felt different. The air seemed tighter. The corridors were quieter. People spoke in low voices, and when they thought no one was watching, they looked toward the power conduits as if expecting them to move. Evan Hale felt it too. He stood inside engineering control, staring at a wall of stable green readings. Everything was normal, too normal. That worried him more than flashing red warnings ever had. Across the room, Salith sat on a raised platform, wrapped in a regulation thermal cloak. Two alien medical officers hovered nearby, scanning her with floating instruments. Their faces showed concern mixed with something else, respect and fear. Evan crossed his arms and waited. "She will recover," one of the medical officers finally said. "But she should not have been pushed so far." Evan's jaw tightened. The station would have failed. The officer's eyes shifted to him. "That does not change the risk." Salith lifted her head. "It was my choice," she said calmly. The room went silent. The officers exchanged looks, then stepped back. "Rest is advised," one said. "We will report to command." They left quickly, their robes whispering against the floor. Evan exhaled. "You okay?" Salith nodded slowly. "I will be. Your intervention reduced the load. Without it, I would have burned out." "Burned out?" Evan asked. She met his eyes. "My species can merge with systems only for limited periods. Too much energy destroys us from the inside." Evan looked away, anger rising. "And they sent you anyway." "They always do," Salith replied. "Where power is unstable, we are sent." Evan frowned. "As electricians." "As tools," she corrected gently. That word stayed with him. Later that cycle, Evan sat alone in his quarters, replaying logs from Sector 9. The data made no sense. The surge patterns were not random. They pulsed, adapted, and reacted to intervention, like something alive. A soft chime sounded at his door. "Come in," he said. The door slid open. Salith stood there, now wearing a standard technician suit again, her expression calm but serious. "I was told I should rest," she said. "I chose otherwise." Evan smiled slightly. "Figures." She stepped inside, her gaze moving over the scattered tools and half-built human devices cluttering the room. You build things even when they are not needed. It helps me think, Evan said. Sit, she did. Evan brought up a holographic display between them. I've been looking at the surge data. This wasn't just a failure. Something under the station is causing it. Salith studied the display. Yes, an energy anomaly. You knew, Evan said. I suspected, she replied. Command confirmed it after the incident. Evan clenched his fists, and they didn't tell the rest of us. They feared panic, Salith said, and discovery. Discovery of what? Salith paused. The faint lines beneath her skin glowed softly, reacting to the nearby power fields. The anomaly is ancient, she said. Older than the station, older than most spacefaring species. It generates limitless energy, but it is unstable and aware. Evan's heart pounded. Aware how? It responds to interaction, she said. It tests limits. When your kind arrived, it reacted more strongly. Because humans use different systems, Evan asked. Because humans do not follow expected patterns, Salith answered. That made him smile despite everything. The next cycle, Helios Station received visitors. A command vessel docked without announcement. High-ranking officials arrived, tall, sharp-eyed beings from the Central Coalition. They moved through the station like owners inspecting property. Evan watched from engineering as Salith stood before them. You exceeded safe limits, one commander said sharply. The station still stands, Salith replied. Barely, the commander said, and because of unauthorized human interference. Evan stepped forward. That interference saved your asset. The commander's gaze dropped to him. Human engineer, you are out of your depth. Maybe, Evan said evenly, but I'm standing in it and I can see the problem. A murmur passed through the room. The commander ignored him and turned back to Salith. You will be reassigned once repairs are complete. To where? She asked. A deeper site, the commander replied, closer to the anomaly. Evan's blood ran cold. That'll kill her. That is acceptable, the commander said, if the data is worth it. Silence followed. Then Evan laughed. Everyone stared. You know, Evan said, shaking his head, this is why humans get a bad reputation. The commander's eyes narrowed. Explain. You see a problem and sacrifice the nearest solution, Evan said. We see a problem and ask how not to lose anyone. That is inefficient. Maybe, Evan said, but it works. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared again. Not emergency alarms, warning alarms. Power fluctuation detected across all sectors, the station voice announced. Load increasing. Salith's eyes widened. The anomaly is reacting. The commander turned sharply. Why now? Evan was already moving. Because it knows you're here. They raced through the corridors as lights flickered. This time the surge was everywhere. Doors jammed. Gravity stuttered. Species from dozens of worlds clung to walls and rails. At the central nexus, energy spiked violently. Salith staggered as the glow beneath her skin brightened without contact. It's reaching for me, she said through clenched teeth. The commander hesitated. Begin evacuation. There's no time, Evan said. If we pull power, the station collapses. What do you suggest, human? The commander demanded. Evan took a breath. We don't let her take it alone. He pulled up a schematic. These are human auxiliary circuits. They're old-fashioned, manual. They don't rely on prediction models. Salith stared at the display. They are rough. They're stubborn, Evan said, like us. The commander scoffed. They will fail. Eventually, Evan agreed, but not before we stabilize the flow. Another tremor shook the station. Salith looked at Evan. If we try this, it will bind us all to the system. Evan met her gaze. Then we stand together. For the first time, Salith smiled. Prepare the link, she said. As Evan and the mixed species team rushed to their stations, Helios Station groaned under the rising power. But this time, humanity was not just watching. They were holding the line. And the anomaly was about to learn something new. Helios Station shook like a living thing in pain. The power surge did not stop. It spread through every level, every corridor, every system. Lights flared too bright, then dimmed. Gravity pulsed unevenly. Species from across the galaxy struggled to keep balance as warning tones echoed again and again. In engineering control, Evan Hale stood at the center of controlled chaos. "Manual Circuit 3 is overheating," a technician shouted. "Route coolant from storage," Evan replied at once. "If it freezes the pipe, break it and keep going. That will damage the system." "I know," Evan said calmly. "Do it anyway." Salith stood near the central power interface, her eyes closed. Thin lines of light glowed clearly beneath her skin now, brighter than ever before. She was not touching the core, but the energy reached for her all the same. "It is learning," she said quietly. "The anomaly is adapting." Evan glanced at her. "So do we." The commander watched from behind, rigid and silent. His people had never allowed such disorder. Their systems were clean, perfect, and fragile. Human systems, Evan knew, were none of those things. A violent tremor hit the station. Several crew members fell. A support beam cracked overhead. "Structural integrity at 70%, the station voice announced. "Still plenty," Evan muttered. He turned to Salith. "Can you hold it like this?" "For a short time," she replied. "But the load is increasing. It wants a full connection." The commander stepped forward. "Then give it one, end this." Salith opened her eyes and looked at him. "That would end me." "That is acceptable," the commander said flatly. Evan stepped between them before he could think. "No," the commander's gaze hardened. "You do not have authority. I have responsibility," Evan snapped. "You put us here, you hid the truth, and now you want to walk away clean." The commander said nothing. Another surge rippled through the station. This one was stronger. Consoles sparked. A scream echoed from a distant corridor. Salith cried out and dropped to one knee. The glow along her arms flared wildly. "It's too much," she gasped. "Evan, I cannot regulate it anymore." Evan knelt beside her. "Listen to me, you're not alone." He activated a channel. "All human engineers respond." One by one, voices answered. "We're here." "Circuits are holding." "Manual overrides ready." Evan spoke clearly. "We're going to distribute the load across every human-built system on this station. It will hurt, things will break. But we can take it." A pause followed. Then, "Understood." The commander looked shocked. "That will cripple the station." Evan looked back at him. "Only temporarily. Humans rebuild, that's what we do." Salith stared at Evan, her breathing uneven. "You would risk your people." He met her gaze. "We already are, every day. This time it means something." She closed her eyes again. "Then I will trust you," she said. Evan stood and raised his voice. "Begin load sharing." Now, across Helios Station, systems shifted. Old human circuits lit up, some unused for years. Power surged through thick cables and reinforced panels designed without elegance but with strength. The station groaned, but it did not fail. Salith screamed as the energy pressure spiked. Evan rushed to her side again, gripping her arm as the light beneath her skin surged violently. "Stay with me," he said. "Focus on the rhythm, not the force." She gasped. "You do not understand this level of exposure." "I don't need to," Evan said. "Just breathe." The anomaly reacted. The power core pulsed, sending a shockwave through the station. Screens went black. Emergency lights flickered on. Then something new happened. The surge slowed, not stopped, but slowed. Salith's eyes snapped open. "It is hesitating." Evan frowned. "Why?" "It is confused," she said. "It expects surrender or sacrifice." Evan smiled grimly. "Yeah, humans are bad at both." The commander stared at the readings. "Impossible," he whispered. "The anomaly is stabilizing." But it was not done. A deep hum rolled through the station, lower than before, stronger. The power core glowed brighter than ever. Salith's body arched as the light beneath her skin formed new patterns, denser, sharper. "It is pushing again," she said, her voice strained. "Testing limits." Evan felt fear twist in his chest. "Can we push back?" Salith hesitated. Only if I connect fully." The room went still. No, Evan said instantly. There has to be another way. There may not be time, she replied. If it overwhelms the circuits, your systems will burn, lives will be lost. Evan clenched his fists. His mind raced. Then he looked at the human circuit map again. Wait, he said slowly. What if we don't resist it? Salith looked confused. Explain. We keep trying to control the flow, Evan said. What if we guide it instead, give it a path, something it can move through without fighting us? The commander shook his head. You cannot negotiate with an energy anomaly. Evan ignored him. Salith, your people bond with energy, you listen to it. Yes, she said cautiously. Can you communicate? Evan asked. Her eyes widened slightly. Not in words, in patterns, in response. Evan nodded. Then let it feel us, not just you. He activated another channel. Human teams, sync your systems. Match the anomaly's pulse. Don't fight it, move with it. Are you serious? Someone asked. Completely, Evan replied. Salith stared at him. If this fails, I know, Evan said. But if it works, it won't need to consume you. She closed her eyes again. Then begin. Across the station, human systems adjusted. Power levels shifted not to resist, but to mirror the anomaly's rhythm. The effect was immediate. The violent surges softened. The hum changed tone, becoming deeper, steadier. Salith gasped, not in pain but surprise. It is responding, she said. It feels recognized. Evan felt hope rise. Then the commander shouted, reading spiking again. The anomaly surged one final time, stronger than ever. The power core blazed white-hot. Salith cried out and collapsed fully this time. The light beneath her skin flared dangerously. Evan caught her as she fell. Evan, she whispered weakly, I cannot hold it anymore. The station shook violently. Structural warnings blared. Evan looked around. Broken systems. Exhausted crews, a commander frozen by fear. Then he made a choice. He placed his hand on the auxiliary interface, no insulation, no protection. Pain shot through him instantly. His muscles locked, his vision blurred. The commander shouted, Human, step away. Evan didn't. If it wants connection, Evan said through clenched teeth, it gets all of us. Salith's eyes flew open. Evan, no, but it was too late. The anomaly surged and met human resistance unlike anything it had encountered. Not rigid, not fragile, but relentless. The lights across Helios Station went dark, and in the silence the outcome remained unknown. For a moment there was nothing but darkness. Helios Station had fallen silent. The hum of the power core, the whir of machinery, and the soft clatter of crew working tirelessly, all of it ceased. Only the low thrum of the anomaly echoed through the metal halls like a heartbeat, slow and deliberate. Evan Hale was aware of one thing. He was still holding on. His fingers were locked against the interface, pain shooting up his arm like a constant reminder of what was at stake. But he did not let go. Through the darkness he heard Salith's voice. Evan, you must release it. He clenched his jaw. I can't. The glow from Salith's skin had dimmed, and she lay sprawled against the floor of the central nexus, her body limp, but not lifeless. She had given everything to the connection, and now she was fighting just to stay conscious. The glow had faded from her limbs, leaving only traces of light beneath her skin, faint lines pulsing with weak energy. The commander's voice broke through the silence. Human, release the connection. You are damaging the station. Evan barely registered the words. The pain was too great. His mind was swimming, his body shaking from the effort. The anomaly, it was pressing on him, pushing, testing him, and yet it was changing. It was learning. Salith's hand found his, and for a brief moment he felt warmth. Her touch, though faint, brought clarity. The glowing lines across her skin pulsed in rhythm with his racing heartbeat. You're not just controlling the flow, she said weakly. You're becoming part of it. Evan's head spun. What? You're not fighting it, you're guiding it. The anomaly's presence was like a living force now, sentient and aware, shifting around the human-built systems like water finding its path. Salith was right. It was no longer pushing or pulling. It was listening. The energy shifted again, a calm, gentle pressure flowing through Evan's body and down his arm. He could feel it now. The anomaly was no longer attacking. It was waiting, watching, testing. And Evan realized something. They hadn't resisted it. They hadn't forced it to fit into a mold that didn't work. They had accepted it. His hand trembled as he slowly withdrew it from the interface. For a brief second, the station's lights flickered. The power hummed again, but at a steady, manageable pace. "We did it," he whispered to himself. Then he felt a weight settle on his shoulder. He turned to see Salith, still weak, her eyes glazed with exhaustion but a sense of peace in them. "I did not expect this," she said softly. "Humans do not yield in the face of power. You bend it to your will." Evan smiled, though it was weak. "We don't bend easily." A sudden, sharp alarm sounded again, though this time it wasn't one of panic. It was confirmation. "Power systems stabilizing," the station voice announced. "Anomaly contained. All systems fully operational." A sigh of relief swept through the room. The command crew, who had been silent throughout the ordeal, began moving, their expressions unreadable. Some still looked at Evan as though he were a loose thread about to unravel. The commander approached, his face stoic. He eyed Evan and Salith, who was still slumped against the floor but breathing easier now. "You have done what we could not," he said grudgingly. "The anomaly has been stabilized." Evan didn't care about the commander's praise. He was too focused on Salith, who now sat up, still weak but no longer overwhelmed by the strain. "Will you be all right?" he asked, kneeling beside her. Salith looked up at him, her glowing lines dimming to a soft pulse. "I will recover. You have saved me." She paused. "You have saved us all." Evan's brow furrowed. "This isn't over. There's still a reason that thing exists under this station." Salith's gaze turned toward the distant power core. "Yes, it is not merely energy, it is a force, a test. The anomaly has existed for ages, seeking something. It has seen your species now, Evan Hale. It understands you." "I'm not sure that's a good thing," Evan muttered. She smiled faintly. "You are not afraid." Evan didn't answer immediately. There was a moment of stillness. He could feel the pulse of the station, now steady and controlled like a body at rest. Everything was functioning as it should. He stood up and held out a hand to Salith. "Come on. Let's get you to Med Bay. You've earned a break." She took his hand and with a careful push stood on her own, her legs still shaky but steady. Together, they walked toward the Med Bay, the hum of the station now a comforting rhythm behind them. Hours later, in the Central Command Center, the station's leaders were meeting to discuss the next steps. The command vessel that had arrived earlier had already left, but the tension remained in the air. There were too many questions, too many things left unsaid. Evan sat near the back, quietly observing the proceedings. Salith had been taken to a recovery pod for a full checkup, but she had insisted on watching the meeting from a distance. She left a message for him. "I will not rest while there is still work to do. If you want to understand the anomaly, you must look deeper." The commander stood at the head of the table. "The anomaly is stable, but we cannot ignore its potential." He glanced at Evan. "It will require further research. Our people are not equipped to study this properly." Evan shifted in his seat, already knowing what was coming. "We need your expertise," the commander said. Evan leaned back, his mind racing. He had no intention of leaving Helios Station, not after everything he had seen, but the idea of further exploration. It wasn't just about the anomaly anymore. It was about the lessons learned about humanity's ability to adapt, to survive, and to overcome. "We'll help," Evan said quietly, "but on our terms." The commander raised an eyebrow. "And what are your terms?" Evan's voice was steady. "You let us lead the next phase of research. You stop hiding the truth from the crew. No more secrets. We all work together on this." The room fell silent. Finally, the commander nodded, though his face remained expressionless. "Very well. But know this research may take decades. The risks are unknown." Evan stood, walking toward the door. "I'm used to unknowns." As he left the room, he felt the weight of his decision. He wasn't just staying on Helios Station to work on the anomaly. He was staying to guide humanity through the vast unknown, to show them that they weren't just survivors, they were builders. And somewhere in the depths of the galaxy, the anomaly had learned that lesson. Humanity wasn't something to be controlled. It was something to be reckoned with. The stars outside Helios Station flickered as Evan gazed out of the observation deck. A new chapter was beginning, one where humanity would stand, not alone, but united with the mysteries of the universe. And this time they wouldn't just survive, they would thrive.